you to be under the speakers. If you have a problem hearing, it would be good to choose one of them. We can help you, but we've hired a professional to come in and lay out that room so that it's good. Now, I've heard comments that say the school board meetings can be heard fine and city council meetings cannot. So I'm going to attend one because I don't know that to be a fact. And I don't know how they do it any different since the same person sets up the room for both meetings. I don't know why they would be doing them any differently. I know it's a challenge for some people to hear. I've heard my staff say that a couple times. I've heard citizens say, I'm having trouble hearing. We have thought about how can maybe Julie can help position the microphone for whoever comes to the podium, because we started to think, well, maybe someone who's coming to speak might be afraid to touch it, and we could adjust it so that they could hear it properly. Again, we have little cards at the podium that says, please speak into the microphone and speak loudly so that you're speaking to the back of the room. But I don't know that there's anything wrong with the system, but we do have to figure out some sort of a way of flagging council to say, I can't hear. Dan, do you want to address that?
Yeah, that's been an issue for a while, and I'm not going to speak for the other council members. I pull the microphone closer to me. So if I'm speaking and you can't hear me, please just wave or something, and I'll personally make an extra effort to speak a little louder. Again, I can't answer for the other council persons, but if you just, in the back of the room, if you're there and you can't hear us, just, hey, we can't hear you or something, and we'll speak a little louder. I will personally make an extra effort to do that.
Yes, Ms. Silver.
In actuality, Dan is the councilman that can always be heard, and the city solicitor can always be heard. Those two can always be heard. And I have talked to a couple of the council people and asked them if they have had instructions with the microphone, and they say they may have, but they don't remember ever having it.
No, well, I'll say that Joan Littell, when she was the mayor, she would remind us, speak into the microphone. Tom Nagel, as the new mayor, has said a couple of times to the council members, speak into the microphone. If we're not doing that, let us know, and we'll hound each other more. It's a bad habit on our part that we're not talking into the microphone. And we'll make an extra effort, Rose. You're right, if you can't hear us, let us know.
Dan, I have complained about that sound system for 4 years, at least twice a year. Mr. Hand, who sits in the back of the audience, has yelled out that he can't hear. I have asked people, what can you hear? I have been to Absolute Music to ask them about the sound system. And they said the sound system can be adjusted to go louder, but if it gets too loud, then it screeches when they try to videotape it. But I talked to an IT man, and an IT man said that can be adjusted. And it isn't the fact only of speaking into the microphone. There is some way that the sound system has to be adjusted. It's as simple as that. And it is there to adjust according to Absolute Music.
Okay, Mr. Kreiner was next. Then Karen Collins, then the lady in the brown sweater.
One of the things that I could bring up about this is I've been up to city council and spoken many times, and I've played the tapes back on my computer and heard this, and many times I'm distorted. But you can't tell it when you're speaking through that microphone, because I want to be heard. Well, I have a loud voice, I'm sure everybody can hear me now. But maybe it boils down to someone going in and testing the system and seeing what the actual problem is. Maybe it's the difference between an omnidirectional versus a multi-directional microphone. I don't know. But I also know that on the base, when we have people with speakers in a room where we have 300 people here, they don't even have a microphone that they speak into. They're actually speaking to speakers in the ceiling and on the sides. Now, again, that's an expensive option, but all I'm saying is this system can be tweaked. I mean, the feedback that happens, it can be tweaked. I'm the IT guy you've talked with. I've done this 100 times before. And it does take some tweaking, but it takes some conscious effort to do. Thank you.
Ms. Combs?
Yeah, hearing the council people is not the only issue. We can't hear the other citizens who get up to talk either. This is a public meeting. We should be able to hear everyone and everything that happens in that council meeting room. It's not, with all due respect, a meeting just held for the entertainment of the council. It's a public meeting, and the people who attend it and the people who watch it home on television should be able to hear it. And whatever it takes to get that fixed should be done. Obviously, it can be done, so it should be done. We're asking you to come take some of these issues that have been plaguing this city for a long time and come to some agreement on one of them. Surely there must be one thing you're willing to do.
Could you repeat your remark, please?
That's okay.
I agree. And I am committed to figuring out why there's a I am committed. Or committable. We will look and find out what the difference is between the setup, between the school board and the city council meeting. Again, I think that part of the reason that we can't hear the citizens is because the microphone's up here, they don't adjust it down, they probably don't feel comfortable doing that, which we can ask Julie to start doing for them, because sound travels down. And so we want to make sure that the microphone is under them so they can be heard. So that's something that I can ask Julie to start doing. If she realizes that it's not being heard by the whole audience, what the citizens are saying. But there are just some tweaking that we can do that way, and I'd be happy to ask Julie to do that and see if that works.
I would like to mention, I forgot to mention that I was told by Absolute Music that there is a control feature on the wall that you can adjust either low or high.
Yes, that is absolutely true. But there is also control features in the sound booth that override that when they are recording for television.
All I can say is they need to come together and figure out the best optimum way to do that, because clearly they're not doing it. Thank you.
Okay, the lady here had a question.
Well, my husband and I was at the council meeting Monday night, and we were sitting right next to Mr. Doug Hand, and I didn't have any problem hearing at all. And since I'm an elderly person past 39,
Welcome to the club.
I didn't have any problem hearing, and when I walked to the podium to speak, I adjusted the microphone since I'm short. I pulled it down. I'm assuming the council heard me. Did you hear me? Yes. So I think it's partly that when people speak, they don't pull the microphone down and speak on the microphone. I had any problem hearing council Monday night or the city manager or the city solicitor or anyone that stood up to speak. Especially Karen, she projects. I don't think she needs a microphone, but she's good at projecting. But a lot of people, if they're not good at projecting, if they pull the microphone down and they talk, then you would have a problem.
It's also having your back to be, the audience has, every speaker has their back to them except for the council. That podium could be moved to be on the ground in front of where the city manager and the city solicitor sit and angled, so that at least, because part of hearing is also your visual cues. So being able to see would be a good idea. So I don't know what professional set that room up, but they didn't do a good job, because even like in the courtroom, they're going to angle things so people can also get visual cues.
You didn't hear the city manager saying while you were speaking that she will ask Julie to give instructions before people speak so they can operate the microphone.
Perfect, I can write these down.
Okay?
Okay, when people go to council meetings to get an agenda item, and one of them says here, have your remarks to decide and also listen to them. So why don't you put something in like, speakers speak directly into the mic, do not stand above the mic or on the side of the mic, in there. Because I know the first time before I went to council, the first time it was about a website. So if that's on a website, and they go to the meetings, anybody that speaks usually gets the agenda, they can see it right there on your right. Now, one comment about that, I was at the school board meetings, I go to school board meetings. Last time he has tweaked it. He has tweaked it. Their IT guy gets sound better. So you might want to check with him too.
Are there any other questions or comments on the sound system in the council room? Okay, let's go on to the next issue. Issues with the city website and provision of documents to the public. The council recently approved spending $15,000 for an economic development website, yet the city's main website is plagued with broken links, poorly written text, outdated information, and problems so severe that a task as simple as moving from one department page to another often causes computers to freeze entirely or require rebooting. Also, at the last council meeting, it was mentioned again that the full council and planning board packets or the agenda, ordinances, and supporting documents should be made available to the public for review prior to the meeting. And that should be done with enough time for interested citizens to do their own research on topics also. The library receives some of these documents, but not until late on the Friday or early on the Saturday before a council meeting. Surely the city knows that 32,000 people won't be going to the library in a day and a half. So it makes more sense to post these online further in advance of a council meeting. Your reply to these issues was that it would be easier to do this once the city goes digital. Can you tell us when we can expect significant improvements to the website and to the documents available for review?
Happy to. It's really one of our goals is to go digital and to go green, go paperless with all of our documents for the planning board and the city council meetings. And so we are currently looking at what format we can use. There are lots of different programs out there that allow us to do that. Once city council has made a decision on which format they want to use and to make sure that they are willing to spend the money up front in order to do this advancement, we will then have a way of scanning all of our city packages into a PDF file. So it would be just as easy to post it on the website at that point as a PDF because it will be available. At this point, we don't have the technology to do that. We have talked for the past year with city council about how we can do the PDF format and email them. The files are way too big, and the copier that we have that does the PDF is unreliable. So we are looking at spending some money to make these technological advancements, and I think that is, and it's all going to happen this year. I can't tell you exactly what month, but this is something that council has asked for. In April at our work session, we will be talking about the formats, we'll be talking about the platforms that we'll be using perhaps and the expense that we'll have to go through to make this transition so council can make a decision on whether that's a wise investment or not. Aside from going technological this way, we do, and I see Carolyn in the back, we do this at the credit union, and it's a phenomenal benefit to the board members because you have access not only to the documents for the current meeting, but all access to prior committee meetings, and you don't have endless amounts of paper. We're not spending money on copying and reams of paper and things like that. So we do believe that there's a savings to the city and a benefit to the citizens because then we can post the whole packet, which is the administrative memos that go with the package to council on our website. So we are moving in that direction. We're glad that you're excited about wanting to see something like that. But I do want to make another point. There are presentations that we do at the council meeting, and I know that we had a citizen that came forth and said, I don't have that presentation material. Well, I can tell you that those are usually done the day of the meeting in order to facilitate a discussion. But all of the information is in the memos that we do to council that are given out on Fridays. So once we get the ability to do it as a PDF and post it, then you'll have access to all that information. The other thing to keep in mind is that when we do an ordinance that requires 3 readings, you have several weeks to really go and do your homework on what that ordinance says, what is behind that. So just saying, a resolution, I can understand the concern, but ordinances provide you 2, sometimes 3 weeks to do your homework. Copies are always available in our office, and it's just a phone call away. So I understand that you may want to go to the library instead of calling the office, but why? So, in the interim, until we do this technological advancement, just call the office if you want copies of those documents.
Are there any questions or comments? Yes, Dave Frank.
Okay, wow, where do I start? Okay, first thing, there are a lot of people that may not feel comfortable coming to city council or the city building, so I think it's imperative that people get as much opportunity to look for documents. They may not want to come to, like I say, to the building. They may not go to the website. So a common meeting place is the library. 1 copy of the documents that people can review. I don't think that's too much to ask. That's my opinion. I'm on the planning board, and I want those documents there for people to look at too. Especially, I get them on a Saturday or Friday, depends, and I don't have a whole lot of time, but I spend hours reviewing this stuff. So I'm just saying, citizens need an opportunity to review this stuff, and it should be in a place where they feel comfortable going to. And if the library is one of those, I don't think that's asking too much. The other thing, I think having public hearing without documentation, have it there at the city council meeting, right there when you come in to listen to a council meeting. None of the documentation is there. And again, I don't think some people are comfortable coming up to people and saying, can you give me the document? If it's there, they'll take it. And having that a public hearing without documentation review before that, I think it does a great disservice to our citizens because they don't really understand, and I don't understand a lot of these things that go through unless I've done my research. Sorry, I'm on a roll. The other thing was I was really concerned about the economic development website that was brought up. I think it's a great idea, economic development. We haven't had anything like that for years. My concern is $15,000 being spent for a website. The City of Fairborn's website already has a tab, Community Development. Why do we spend $15,000, or we were projected to spend $15,000 for this? I can go and find someone at Wright State University. I can find a high school senior that can put up a website, frankly, that's better than the City of Fairborn's website that is there today. And they can do it for significantly less than $15,000. No disrespect. But I know they can do it. I've talked with the people that can do it, and these guys can do it in a fast response and about massive PDF files. I don't understand that at all because I work with not just megabytes, but gigabyte files at the base. And it doesn't take but a few moments to open these things and look at them. So saying that it's a difficult thing to do, I question that because I don't see it. And I know people, I work with people, professionals, they don't see it either because I've asked the question. Thank you.
I was also wondering if there is a time limit when you're going to fix this website. You've talked about in the future. Can you be more specific?
There's two different websites that we're talking about. One is our basic city website. Mark Newman in our ID department is responsible for that as far as the programming of it. The system that we went to was sort of a canned off the shelf system. I frankly agree with all of you. I don't like it. I don't think it's as friendly as it could be. But we didn't have the money to put towards our basic one, so we're working with it as best we can for right now. The website that we want to do for economic development is significantly different than just the primary website for the city, in that it's going to take a lot of development that a high school student would not be able to do. And we're looking at building a site with site seekers on it. What I think it's important for folks here to understand is that when a company is looking to relocate into this area, they have already shopped us before they ever make a phone call. And if we don't have access via the website to these developers, we will never get shopped. They'll never come to Fairborn because we don't have the information on the website that's necessary for these developers to really look at Fairborn as a viable place to locate their business or expand their business to. So what Chris is working with and his request for the development of a site includes a lot of tools that our internal team do not have the capabilities to put together, nor do they have the time to do it with the limited staff that we have. So we are going to ask for a professional company to come in who already has marketing background, design background, and can put together the tools and the elements that are going to be needed for people outside of our area to begin to look at Fairborn as something that is significant and a place they want to do business. We've never had it. And the one little link that we have that says community development talks a little bit about some housing grants and a few things that are happening there, but it isn't the significant expanse that we're looking at for economic development. It is different, it is going to cost us money, but we do believe that the return that it'll bring to this community by making us a player in the larger market of economic development is going to be worth it in the end. And we cannot do that with volunteers, we cannot do it with high school students, and we can't even do it with students at Wright State because they do not have the skills that we're looking for to put a high-quality product on our website.
Excuse me, David Kreiner has a lot of experience in that field, and if he feels that Wright State students can help with it, I would trust his word, at least listen to him.
Well, what I'm saying, you've thrown down the gauntlet, and I take the challenge, because I absolutely believe that a website, not the tools, but the website development will not cost $15,000. I know that for a fact. I'm saying the money can be spent a little bit more smartly. That's all I'm saying.
What we're designing are the tools, and that's what
Again.
costs money.
Again, it doesn't cost $15,000 to create a website. It doesn't. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Tools, yes, maybe. That's put the content on. But I know that we can get other webmasters to do this a lot less expensive. That's my opinion, and I've talked to people about this where I work. I'm saying I've been around for a long time. So I'll throw that out there.
Then I would recommend, if you would, to sit with Chris and talk to him about what he's actually doing so that you have a full understanding of the scope of the project that he's asking for. Since a lot of people here are looking to you as the professional, talking directly with Chris about what his goals are would be a wonderful thing, because then you would understand where he's coming from and also the bids that he's received from different companies to do that.
This circles about the biggest gripe I have about voting on things, where citizens don't have an opportunity to bring up an issue or a concern before it's voted on and money may be allocated. That continues to happen here, and this is one of them. There was no citizen input that I saw in this, and all this money got allocated and being presented to be spent. I think if we had at least 2 or 3 citizens discussion, come up here and you got a concern, I would have been there. There was nothing like that. So now it's after the fact.
Well,
So-
with all due respect, sir, we had a council work session that talked about economic development, and there was an opportunity there for people to understand the scope of what Chris was asking for. What council allocated was the resources to put in place an economic development tool. He has not yet come to council asking for the award of contracts, which will be done later, and that's the opportunity where you'll find out exactly who bid on these jobs, what is the scope, so there's more to come. It wasn't just a blanket, I'm gonna give you $90,000 and just, have a nice day.
Can we give
because-
Chris a couple minutes here before we run out of our hour?
Oh, sure.
Please. But-
Yeah, sure.
but-
You have to come up here though, so they can hear you.
Okay. Should I speak into the microphone? The economic development website. So I had to create a budget for economic development activity, not knowing if I would get funding, not knowing exactly what it was going to go for, because I didn't have all the quotes, and I didn't know if I should spend time getting all the quotes if I wasn't going to get any funding at all. We are pulled extremely thin in what we do. I was giving my honest approach to what the city needs to do to be competitive. I answered a lot of questions that realtors, brokers, site selectors, other business owners, city staff, citizens, all complained about to me. So I allocated, or I asked for, $15,000 for this website. How did I get that money? Or how did I get that number? I did a lot of research in that particular category. I looked at what other cities have done. I've gotten quotes from 5 or 6 other companies. I've called a number of friends in other regions, other cities, and I picked not the most expensive number, just a number kind of in the middle of what they spend on their sites. So that's pretty standard in other cities. Again, I'm trying to make us competitive. To do that, people that do development need information specifically. They need it now, they need it quickly. You're right. To develop just a simple website costs nothing. To develop a brand, to develop marketing material, to develop a site that functions with all that, provides the information you need, gets updated regularly, lets me do interactions with it, costs a little money. So that's what that's for. Pretty simple. It's a brand, it's everything. Yeah.
One final question. How many hours have you got allocated to this creation, development, and putting the website out? And if I go in and type in, sorry, Fairborn City Council, is that going to show up, or do I have to type in something else? Fairborn Community Development. Every time I put in that, I get 6 different links, and it drives me nuts. It really does. So which one, how's that going to work? Because it's, it's not going to be told, it hasn't been told yet. All we've heard is community development or economic development website. So it tells me that's a separate website in the city of Fairborn.
It is. It's separate.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there one way of linking the two websites?
Yes. You asked if there's one way to link both websites. There is, of course. So when you,
What's that? Hasn't been done?
no, we don't have a website to link to. So when we create it, I'll link it.
We're gonna have 2 websites, is that what you're saying?
Yep. One for city government, city operations, city stuff. Site selectors don't care about certain things. They don't care about volunteer activity in the city. They want demographic information. They want it now. Right? They want site location information. They want what they want. They want it now. They want it simple.
And you can't put that in one, and when you go to it, you just link to the other one?
Businesses also don't like to work with governments. So we're going to change the face, the brand of the economic development activity.
But how do people know to get there?
What's that?
How do people know that the site is there and how to get there? How do they get to your site?
Again, we're going to develop a brand. We're going to use the Community Improvement Corporation. We're going to link it from the city to
Oh,
the
there is
district.
going to be a link.
Yeah, of course.
Do you have a date that this is going to be done?
I don't even have the money yet. Yeah, I mean, if it was up to me, the project would be done by now. Yeah.
Chris, I just got back from vacation down in Florida, so I was in a good mood, but in that little town down there, they're getting a company from Holland with 250 jobs coming in there.
Mhm.
And they're not going to look at full Fairborn City websites, but they might be looking at a website that's creative and has the search engine criteria and the things you're talking about. So when they start looking for a place that fits their needs, Fairborn will come up with them. And that's what you're doing, or something to that effect, rather than where the city website is exactly that. It's for residents, it's to get information about the city. But your website will be designed specifically to attract people that are making big buck development decisions and looking for a place that fits their needs, and then you're going to try to fit that wedge, be their wedge, in other words. But we don't have a tool to do that right now.
Thank you. And this is not a new activity in cities. This is common in what cities and counties and regions do. I'm getting us up to par. I mean, that is really what I'm doing here. I'm getting us competitive. Any other questions? I'll be here all night.
Let's take our 10-minute break and then resume.